This is the official Supercell Clash Royale North American Open. I'm your host, Christian.
I'm Ella.
And tonight we are bringing you yet again the greatest Clash Royale duels you are ever going to see.
So great.
Your eyes are going to lay on no greater duels.
So over 500,000 people will be playing in these open qualifiers over the next 4 weeks. And from there they'll move on to nights like tonight, which are the Coronation days. And 16 players will move on from our Coronation days to the arena battles.
Right.
And 8 will move on from the arena battles to the crown duels. And one winner will take home the grand prize of $15,000 of a $100,000 prize pool and get a sweet little trip to Supercell headquarters.
Yeah, and also go down in history as the greatest Clash Royale dueler ever.
Yeah, no big deal.
That there ever single was. Again, this is Coronation Day number 3 here. We already had 2 winners for our last few broadcasts. It was Ender and Eric, and these 8 players are playing for first place, $2,000, second place, $500, third and fourth place taking home $300, and 5th through 8th. $100 each. Again, just making it here is an incredible feat. Yeah. Before we get into who those players are, quickly remind you about the format here at the Clash Royale North American Opens. We are running the standard tournament cap with the double deck format. Each contestant submits 2 unique decks to us. Unique means the cards are at least 4 cards different from each other. And to move on, it's really simple. You just got to beat your opponent with both of your decks before they beat you with both of theirs, and boom, you're one step closer to the top. Now, let's take a look at who those top 8 players who made it to today's Coronation events are. First is Flash versus Chief J.
Then we have Swood versus Marcel P.
Third, Gilgamesh versus Flawless.
And finally, we have little sweaty face guy versus Soba.
Yeah, sweaty face guy. Some fantastic names. Marcel P making the return here. Now, before we get into our matches, as you guys know, maybe at home, we couldn't do this alone.
Oh, no.
No, we are making our way to the top. We have with us 2 gentlemen who already are at the top. So let's go over and meet them on the red couch with me, host and creator of the Super Magical Cup. It is Rainy. How you doing, sir? Doing well. Good to see you again.
And over here on the blue couch with me, we have streamer, YouTuber, and former #1 clasher, Rumham.
Great to be here, Ella.
Do you think one day I'll ever make it to the top, Rumham?
Well, you know, every season, they're going to reset all the players who are over 4,000 trophies get reset down to 4,000 trophies. So, Christian, there is a several-minute period every 2 weeks where you are #1 in the world along with several 100,000 other people.
Wow. So hear that at home. You guys could
do it.
All right, Chief J versus Flash. And we are in the round of 8, and as appropriate, Flash has that Lava Hound as a featured card, and Chief J has the Giant as one of his big decks, and I think it's possibly the one he's playing right now. It's either going to be Expo or Giant.
Right, this looks like the Expo deck because of the presence of Ice Golem. Ice Golem was the most recently released card, and it's found a big, comfortable home in a lot of these Expo decks as a low-cost but really high-health blocker for the Expo once it gets
There it is. You were absolutely right. And we've seen this interaction many times in the Clash Royale North American Open Rumham. Expo versus Lava Hound, and I think my final decision about this is I think the Expo is very favored in this matchup.
It's super. I mean, this is actually, I would argue, one of the toughest matchups. I think Lava Hound is a really, really strong deck that can beat pretty much everything but Expo. I mean, great players can play around it, but the big challenge for Flash is somehow putting 7 Elixir in the air slowly in the back of his base and then not getting totally dunked by an Expo at the river.
To be fair, 1,000 health on a tower, actually a little, close shave. To be fair, Flash isn't that far behind. This is where the problem starts, however. The crossbow being 6 Elixir compared to the Lava Hound's 7 means that more crossbows are going to happen in the course of the game than there are Lava Hounds, and when you're already falling behind in the race for tower damage, that's not good news.
This is a great time for Flash to drop his Lava Hound just like that. The Expo was just played, only 1 card, Ice Golem, was played right after, so he knows that there's at least not an Expo in hand, and it forces Chief J to go from the offensive position to defensive. Gotta defend this.
I think that Flash is well suited. He has Skeleton Army, perfect choice against that Inferno Tower, and he has a miner to assist his Lava Hound in terms of having a tank available when the pups pop out. But it looks like Skeleton Army will take them out, and now the pups will get distracted by both the skeletons from the Lava Hound, the Ice Golem, as well as the Mega Minion, and so Chief J is going to mitigate a lot of the damage that the Lava Hound can output.
Ooh, and all those defensive cards get to contribute to the counterattack. you saw that the Mega Minion was played to defend the Miner, the Inferno Tower was played to defend the Lava Hound, and they were all just sitting around very comfortable next to that Expo allowed to help. Flash has less than 20 seconds in order to deal 900 damage to a tower. I don't think his deck is capable of doing so.
Yeah, Expo versus Lava Hound, I think, especially through these few Coronation days that we have been spectating, it's definitely a tough match. Big thing about this is Chief J is now no longer going to be able to play his Expo deck as per double deck format.
Right.
And he's going to have to move on to his Giant Bowler Lightning deck, which I believe is his alternate deck, while Flash still has a choice of playing his Lava Hound deck or playing his own Expo deck, which I believe is his alternative option.
Interesting. So after watching that, does Ice Golem's death slow down the Inferno Tower's damage?
It slows down the attack speed, which, yeah, indirectly reduces the damage. So the Inferno Tower attacks every 0.4 seconds, and it has a big damage range. It starts off very low damage, it goes to very high damage. So when you slow it down with an Ice Golem explosion, now it starts attacking every 0.55 seconds or something like that.
I love how you know that.
Waving
I
some math,
love how you know that.
But that indirectly, holds off damage for a while. Instead of charging up 5 times every 2 seconds, it's now less than 4 times every 2 seconds, and that buys you a little bit of time to put some more damage in there.
0.1 second counts, right?
Well, how many games have we already seen that are coming down to 200 damage left on a tower, 50 damage here and there?
Yeah. All right,
it's a game of inches.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chief J now up 1-0 against the Flash. One more win, and he's moving on to the semifinals. Let's see if he can do it.
All right, Chief J will be sitting on his alternate deck, 4 cards different than his Expo deck. I actually think Lava Hound Bowler is a pretty sick deck to play. Flash opening up with Miner minions, not minion horde, but well defended by Chief J. Only took damage from the Miner, which is definitely not the more damaging troop.
I believe Chief J has Lightning and Arrows as his spell choice, and Arrows is going to be very, very effective against not just the Lava Pups, but the minions, and I believe the Minion Horde that is also in Flash's deck.
It would be interesting, and I think that's actually a great choice against Lava Hound decks. Players like to focus heavily on air troops, and so having Minion and Minion Horde, having that redundancy is actually quite popular. Arrows is by far one of the best cards to have in hand against Lava Hound.
It's been, oh man, that Inferno Tower with no zap or anything. The downside of having Arrows and Lightning in your deck is that you can only really have Lightning to reset the incredibly large damage that Inferno Tower can
Oh,
do.
perfect timing on that Miner pop-up, and the Lava Hound will or the Lava Pups will survive for quite a bit longer. Good amount of chip damage on the tower. There's one pup, and now the minions are going to contribute to that.
Wow.
That's a ton of damage, and Flash connects big. Big strength of the Lava Hound when it's successful.
Yes.
Oh my God, is it successful?
Fatal error there for Chief J. If you look, he's now down by at least 3 elixir, which allows Flash to comfortably put another Lava Hound down and not really be punished too bad for doing so. That tower on the right side of Chief J's is already within range of a fireball and a zap, so he doesn't have to worry about really dealing any more damage to it.
As we expect, now Flash will be playing down the left side. Giant is going to be the investment that Chief J is going to give up in terms of defense in hopes that it will convert into good tower damage afterwards. He's going to add on the log to that. So far, Mega Minion is the only troop defending for Chief J. The Lava Hound is about to pop. Where's the Miner? No, chooses not to go for the Miner. Because of that Fireball, however, the Mega Minion was pretty low health. The Lava Pups make short work of it. And Flash does a good amount of damage to the left side, and so far, the investment that Chief J put to the right side of the map has not come back and paid off for him.
Chief J was in big trouble. He used his arrows on the minions, which Flash, the Minion Horde player, can only be so happy about. It's a great way to bait it out, but excellent adaptation by Chief J, playing the skeletons in the middle, walking down the opposite lane, dragging the minions all the way across the board.
Oh, combo of the zap on the tower and the Minion Horde, plus that Fireball guaranteed it pushed it into that lethal range. Took down the Mega Minion as well, and now things are looking tough for Chief J. Flash answers back strong with 2 crowns to earn the win in the second game, and so they're going to go up 1-1.
Well, Flash pulled that game out. I wonder how much of a Pyrrhic victory that was, because now Flash has to win Game 3 with an Expo deck against a Giant Bowler deck, which we've seen how tough that matchup can be.
Yikes. If you don't have Zap, what's another good way to deal with Inferno Tower? Since we just took Zap out of my deck.
That's right. Lightning stuns for the exact same amount of time, half a second. So Lightning is a much bigger spell that will do the same reset that a Zap can do.
Right.
Ice Spirit or Freeze will also reset it. Granted, it stuns the tower for a much longer period of time, but when it comes out, it has to reset all the way again. Yeah.
Okay.
Cards like Log that are normally good at resetting troops, like for example, Log will knock back a prince and force him to reset his turn, puts his lance up when he does that. Log doesn't do that, unfortunately, to Inferno Tower because it doesn't move. It is built into the ground.
It is stationary.
Yeah, stationary object.
So does Chief J have Lightning in this deck? In this one that's going to be going against the Expo for Flash?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Giant Bowler Lightning.
He's got it all.
Three
He's
big
got
boy
the answer.
cards.
All right, so
yeah.
if you're Flash, what are you doing right now? What's your game plan? If you know your opponent has those cards.
I think that number one is play your Expo as early as you can, because if you can sneak by damage in the tower, I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that helps you secure victory in this match. If you let the cycle get reorganized by your opponent, assuming that your opponent knows that he's playing against an Expo, he should never let you. He should never let you get an Expo off. So I think this is going to be a big opportunity for Flash if he plays the Expo right about now.
All right, well, let's see it.
Right about now.
In chat, let us know who you think's going to take it. Will Flash or Chief J move on?
Now.
Only a 50-50 chance that he even has it in his opening hand.
True.
With
Now.
the bowler in the opposite lane, it might be a decent time to cast it on the opposite lane, knowing at least the bowler can't be standing in front of him.
Don't think he had it in hand. don't think that was a thing. So Flash is going to have to play this out honestly, which, I mean, Mega Minion against Giant Bowler is actually a fantastic card. Problem is, you're going to have to duel the Mega Minion on Chief J's side as well, and it looks like Chief J drops the Mega Minion in not necessarily an ideal spot, so the 3+2 elixir combination with the Ice Golem as well is going to handle that defense.
It looked like it might have locked on for a quick second there. The Inferno Tower is the natural counter in all of these Expo decks. They're so worried about the Giant blocking it that they use Inferno Tower as opposed to Tesla Tower, Cannon, or any of the other defensive cards in order to get it off the board and free the Expo up to lock onto the tower.
Just as a side comment, this is one of the reasons why I really enjoyed Ender's crossbow deck. Before, in the first tournament that we saw, it cycled so fast that Ender would have been able to play another Expo behind this Inferno Tower and continue on the pressure after the big bodies have been dropped. Just as an interesting side note about the differences between the way these Expo decks are coming together.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Ender's as well. That's the one that the Expo deck I've been playing recently because it was so quick. It had Log and Ice Golem. We've seen a lot of Expo matches over the last 2 Coronation days, and this one now included, that I'm really a believer in Ice Golem in these decks over something like Knight, simply because the difference between 2 and 3 elixir is massive.
Here comes a Giant and Bowler pushing up against the Expo, and it looks like the Inferno Tower might be, no, it's at a good spot. Ice Spirit's going to trade with the Ice Spirit, and that's actually fairly good defense for Flash. He's doing really well.
I mean, both of his towers are pristine. Like, he may not be getting that much damage in against the deck, but he's also not dying either, right?
Yes.
We've got about under a minute left of normal time, and then 3 minutes of double elixir because of the tournament rule set. There's a lot of opportunities for an Expo to run wild.
Good call out by Chief J to put the Bowler on the left side. Knew that the crossbow was going to go out there based on the positioning of the Giant. And the Bowler is going to buy enough time for that Giant to get in range of the Expo to tank up more of his damage. But he gave value to that Inferno Tower that was played in the last push. Uh-oh. Double trouble. And this might be...
Oh, the
barely.
Bowler. The Bowler saved the day right there by drawing the Expo damage towards the middle. The Giant was just out of range, and the Bowler taking the damage. Now when the Bowler dies, the Giant will be in range to allow the Expo to die.
Big Lightning is going to hit the Inferno Tower and reset it, but I think it's a little too late. Guards in front is going to stop the Ice Spirit from slowing down the burn on the Inferno Tower, and that's actually a key difference in Flash's ability to defend this push. Again, just a little bit more elixir pop down from Chief J to put the aggression on, but I think that might have been a mistake because now he doesn't have a big body in front of the Expo. Finally puts the Bowler down just in time for the second crossbow being added on, but on the right side, Chief J is taking a lot of damage from the Mega Minion. I feel like Chief J is falling apart at the seams, slowly getting into the late game.
Yeah, the fatal moments, I think, for Chief J, and he's only 2 fire... Ooh, wow, that thing's still going. He's nearly dead here. The fatal flaw there was when he played both Giants at the river on the right side. He kept trying to distract those minions, but Giant doesn't trade with anything. And since Giant wasn't getting any kills in there, He just spent 10 elixir to buy time and found himself significantly far behind in elixir.
Well, there it is. Flash picking up that second victory, being our first semifinalist of Coronation Day 3 to move on. Talk to me quickly. You said the big mistake right there was putting those two giants. Is it overcommitting on the elixir? Because we talked about he already was kind of at a deck disadvantage going into that one, but he found a way. Was that his opponent was that Chief giving it to him, giving it to Flash, or did Flash do something to make Chief do that?
I would say that it's very hard to tell. I think definitely, as evidenced by the result of the game, there are different decisions that Chief J should have made based on. I think Lightning was a big card that we didn't see used appropriately until towards the end of the match when he started throwing that out, as well as being a little too aggressive with his big body placement. You know that it's highly unlikely that you'll lose as long as you're playing your big bodies to tank up Expos.
Gotcha.
So as long as you maintain that, work from there to try to make your win.
All right, well, we have our first replay. Let's go take a look at it, the Miner and the Lava Pups.
Now, the key thing to look for in Lava Hound is that when the Lava Hound dies, there is a split second where the pups don't exist. The Miner pops up there, and the tower locks onto the Miner, leaving both the minions and the Lava Pups free to do a ton of damage. We saw what we just mentioned about how Chief J would throw away giants and lost him to Expo. In that case, he threw away a bowler. That's 5 elixir that just got gobbled up.
This is a perfect example of big bodies needing to be saved. That giant that just died on that right side was one that was played at the bridge aggressively while Chief J's last push was still petering out. And then you see the crossbow immediately tag onto that left side tower. And really, it's those little mistakes that start causing Chief J to have to panic, to do different things. And in the end, he let the Mega Minion go because he felt compelled to play the bowler for the second Expo played. It's all kind of a chain reaction. You know, you make one mistake here, a player like Flash is going to cause you to make more and more and more mistakes and open that gap up wide for big damage.
Yeah. We were kind of talking about it being like a very high-level professional chess match. Like,
yeah.
When you make a mistake as an opponent who knows the game, it's like, all right, well,
I was really impressed by that. Like, I'm comfortable saying that we've seen a few matches in the last 2 Coronation Days where it felt like, while the one player played really well, it was really the other player who made critical mistakes and lost the game. I feel very comfortable saying that Flash won that game.
Gotcha.
Flash outplayed his opponent. The baiting of the right side, getting his opponent to play stuff on the right side, and then switching lanes and setting up the Expo on the left, I thought was really well done. Getting the double Expos set up, so just as before the one Expo even ran out, already having another one.
Yeah.
It was definitely an unorthodox game plan, but I was impressed. Like, that's a match that Flash should lose probably 4 out of 5 times.
Wow.
He found
He
the 5th.
doesn't even have his go-to card in his opening deck, right?
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's not as critically important as something like Expo, where there's a lot of setup to it. You're like, all right, I'm gonna get the Ice Golem on the board, wait a little bit. I'm gonna get, you know, the Mega Minion behind it, get ready, and then set up the Expo. But yeah, I don't know. I just think he sequenced his cards really, really well to play around the disadvantages of that matchup.
All right, well, next we have Swood versus Marcel P. Marcel P, again, a returning Coronation Dayer. You know, I guess we can say that. Swood, what was the deck did you see what deck he was running?
Well, I think he was one of the Expo players. I think he is similar to what we saw out of Chief J there, where he's running Expo and Giant Bowler Lightning. I believe so. I believe so.
Cool.
He's another member of TakeOver, and I believe a lot of the TakeOver players brought very similar decks. They all brought nearly identical Expo decks, and then the only difference was whether you were playing Giant Bowler or Lava Hound as your second deck.
All right, sweet.
The Expo mirror.
Definitely push into Game 3. It actually is kind of beneficial for Swood here because he gets to see all of Flash's Expo deck in a favorable matchup, and then when he brings his Expo deck, there's a little bit of mystery there. Flash is going to have the same scouting report.
Yes, absolutely. Swood has shown his Giant Bowler twice, and Flash has not yet had to experience Expo that Swood will execute in.
If he makes it, Flash could take this.
He could,
yeah.
He could.
I mean, we've seen already, we mentioned that we think Giant Bowler is not a very good matchup, but it's worth mentioning that Flash made it here by beating a Giant Bowler and outplaying it. So he might have a unique strategy or in his head, like a line of play that he uses against Giant Bowler deck to outsmart them. And unless the Giant Bowler player knows what he's trying to set up and do, might be able to Bobby Fischer checkmate him there with some innovative play.
Let's go search for him.
Bobby Fischer. Oh, the Ice Spirit.
The Olympic level jumping Ice Spirit jumps over the rock, hurdles the rock, and gets onto the bowler.
10 points.
might actually have been in favor of the bowler. Delaying it from coming across the bridge means it's harder for Flash to remove, means the bowler actually tanks up more of the expo shots. Opens up the opportunity for the Giant as well.
There a little chip damage on the tower, though. And it fell short.
Now, it's interesting to me, Swoot has chosen not to respond to the Inferno Tower twice now. The first time he actually took 500 damage to his tower because of it. The second time around, he seems to be looking for a bigger push. Maybe double elixirs when he really wants to start throwing out the light.
Swoot does not have Zap in his deck. He is a giant bowler lightning player like we saw in round 1, so he's going to really need a lot of elixir, either a giant or bowler behind his king tower to really save up enough for that lightning. The downside is that if he plays a giant or bowler behind his king tower, he's that much more vulnerable to an expo.
Uh-oh, bowler's feeling pretty sad because it's raining whatever minions shoot on your head. That's actually one of the worst things about playing a bowler, is that if there's Mega Minion and you cannot contest air superiority, your bowler is just dead in the water.
Twice now, though, Swoot has played his Mega Minion in front of the Giant, which allows the Inferno Tower in the ground tower just to shred it. A lone Giant isn't terribly threatening, and smart move, though, by Flash, placing his Inferno Tower and Mega Minion far enough away that he couldn't hit the tower and both of his defensive moves.
Gets one swing on the Giant and the lightning on top of that. So I think that Swoot might be pretty happy about that, but I would definitely like to see Swoot changing his line of play to more, pose more of a threat to Flash right now.
I'm still really surprised that we haven't seen the center expo, or at least maybe not center, but not at the river, like back a little bit, to set up for a second expo a little bit later. That seems like, well, maybe, what do I know? He's locked onto the tower and doing quite a bit of damage, but I think that's a good 1-2 step process. If your opponent spends a lot of elixir to lightning your center expo, you know they don't have lightning, or really much elixir at all, to set up the next expo shortly after.
Giant bowler on the front side. The Ice Spirit actually slows down the Inferno Tower, and the Mega Minion is played just in time to keep tanking it up for that Giant. Big problem now is that the Mega Minion remains on Flash's side and will be able to do a ton of damage to the Giant. And again, a push mitigated, but no damage done for Swoot. And Flash can actually play out this matchup continuously in this way. It's not really that Flash necessarily has a win in the bag, but he's definitely not losing.
Yeah, he can't get a little too aggressive or too greedy, though, because Giant Bowler is a 10 elixir push. I mean, we're mostly seeing them as a defensive answer to the expo, but if you just ignore those cards and try to go down the other lane, Giant Bowler can shred your tower, no questions asked.
It all comes down to how close, and Flash is continuously swapping sides because he knows that it's just much more inefficient if he's having Swoot, forcing Swoot to play his Giant and Bowler sides, basically increases his health pool by double.
You're right, because the push is likely not going to knock an entire tower down in one go, whereas Flash is looking just for one expo to connect, and it will take down the entire tower.
Oh, this is the first time Swoot is actually going on the aggressive front, and this might actually be the losing move or the winning one. We'll see. Big lightning perhaps on 3. Lasers. No, the Giants actually get lasered down, and now Bowler is the only thing standing in the way of the crossbow, and I feel like Flash has a pretty good setup. There's a Bowler, and the Mega Minion dropped at the same time. Big fireball comes in, but misses the Mega Minion. Inferno Tower nearly melts it, but the last health is the health point that matters, and I don't know. The crossbow is actually going to get taken down by the Giants. Big lightning clears the way, and all of a sudden, how the tides have turned. These guards are going to get the Giant one swing. Oh,
yeah,
one swing.
You're right. It's back. Back to 1,000.
I'm making it
Raining
back.
magic.
Raining magic.
I think Flash is really cursing that he doesn't have a lightning of his own right now, because that would be the best possible thing that he could use to back up the expo. These troops in front are fine, but every time the Bowler has been the blocker of choice, and if he could just lightning the tower and the Bowler, the expo would shred it and then suddenly lock onto the tower shortly after.
We might have a draw. You guys think we're going to have a draw here?
I think we're going to have a draw. I think they just like my drawing corner so much that they took the wrong idea of the word and just started saying, hey, we want to draw too.
We also want to draw.
That's not what Flash wants, though. I mean, he definitely, it's rare that you as the Expo deck are going to have such a good lead against these enemy decks, so I think he wants to close this out. I don't know if he's going to be able to in 20 seconds, but he did everything right. You know, he played Expo against a bad matchup and got the tower down to triple digits, and he really wants to just close it out.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think the timeline is just not realistic for him now. something interesting that I will note about Swood's play in this game so far, and this is one of the reasons why I actually think when you're playing Giant Bowler against Expo, the first thing that you want to do is just start cycling lightning. Don't play your bowler, play your giant to tank up the crossbow, then use lightning on the crossbow, something, and the tower. The earlier you start doing that, then you get into the situation where you're 1 minute left in overtime, that tower is going to be at 3-digit health, and it's going to be much easier to cycle down. And I think, what is the difference, right? You play your giant, you play the lightning, crossbow's nearly dead, Flash can play whatever he wants. That giant's not going to die, right? You can still have time to use your giant to tank and play whatever cards defensively. You actually don't need your giant or your bowler to swing on the tower.
Really?
Just say, I'm just going to get damage with lightning. I'm going to cede that to my opponent. I'm going to say, I'm going to let you defend whatever comes across the river. I'm actually not going to invest so much. Instead, I'm just going to get guaranteed damage lightning you every single time.
Okay.
And even if the crossbow tags onto your tower and does a little bit of damage, you know that as Giant Bowler, if you feel uncomfortable, just start playing mega defensively. Just start playing Giant, then Bowler, then cycle, Giant, then Bowler, and his crossbow will never touch your tower.
So one of the things there is that Flash had Fireball, not Lightning. You were saying, oh, it'd be so good to have Lightning right now. What's the difference of damage to a tower between Fireball and Lightning?
Fireball does 222. Lightning does 357, I think. It's 350
something. Definitely not 360 because we got
we messed up on that. We thought it was 363 and
Yeah.
it was like 8 left or whatever. Yeah, you're right.
Gotcha.
It's like 354 to make that.
left.
So it's significantly different, but I think the key there is that it does a lot more. Towers only do 40% of their max damage to enemy crown towers. Spells do 40% to crown towers. So it actually, a full lightning does, I think, about 1,100 damage, which is most of a bowler's health pool.
Oh, wow.
All right. Giant in the back and Bowler in the front because Swood happened to start with both his big body cards.
I definitely agree. Well, actually, there might be a lightning. Oh, no, he's got 2 elixir away, and early on, the elixir is so slow that he's only going to have lightning now.
I would
he
do
cast
it. I would do it. I
Let's
would
go.
lightning.
Doesn't want to go to 0 elixir against an opponent with 7 or 8. That could have been pretty deadly. But I agree
That's
with
very
you
true.
that he should be cycling lightning. I really like your analysis there that, Giant Lightning versus Inferno Tower Expo, that's an 11 on 11.
Yeah.
And if your opponent drops that and you just lightning those 2 things, I think the Giant's super favored to actually get to
Yeah.
the tower and do at least 2 to 3 punches.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't, what's your opponent going to do with an Inferno Tower remaining? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
good
It's
point,
just
yeah.
sitting there. All right, Giant coming across, and this time the Giant is actually tanking up for the Bowler, but a Mega Minion somehow snuck in there and started doing damage to the Bowler instead. Giant actually makes it through despite the fact that it was getting shot at, but the Mega Minion has to drop the guards to stop the Mega Minion.
This kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about how willing are you to take damage on your tower. Flash is was even on Elixir at that point. He could have just taken a few Mega Minion swings and said, all right, now we're back at even. Opts instead to play guards. Guards don't really threaten the tower that much, and now Swood has a solid 2 Elixir advantage on Flash.
Yep. Doesn't want to play a big body in the back corner.
And he wasted it. Look at that.
Yeah.
So just like that, they're back to even. Swood leaked, looks like 2 Elixir before casting a card, and that really burned him because now their Flash is caught right back up.
Leaking Elixir, never a good thing.
Never a good idea. You never know when you have an elixir advantage too. It's really hard to guess sometimes.
Yes.
And in that situation, I think this is a good lightning for Swood. There it is.
There it is.
Oh, he didn't hit the tower.
That's not good. Giant might make it, but it's getting shot from 3 sides. That's the new triangle.
Ooh, and the bowler was just out of range of the Expo, so the Expo locks on, and even though it had only a sliver of health left, deals over 500 damage. That formerly pristine tower is down, under 2,000.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for Swood. There he
The
finally
pull, look
chooses
at the
the
pull. We
lightning.
talked about this, Christian. The slow unit's pulling the other slow unit, taking
the
him on a
way
walk.
back.
That actually is a very, very big distraction for Flash there. Saved himself a lot of damage. The Mega Minion could have changed that push a lot.
Always remember to walk your Mega Minion, folks.
Well, that'll happen.
You'll regret it if you don't. Mega Minion. Ooh, the Giant barely tanking for the Mega. And it's still not dead. That Mega Minion. The
Last hit point
Oh,
matters.
the Ice Golem dies and the death damage finally takes the Mega Minion down, but definitely more troublesome than Flash would have been willing to deal with.
Flash has a slight elixir advantage, and if he can use this Inferno Tower and take the 10 elixir push down with just 5, he'll find himself in really, really good position. I don't know if he even needed to use that log other than maybe just to cycle and do some chip damage.
Yeah, this giant is actually going to go nowhere. I feel like this game might go to another draw.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
We're
man.
gonna be here all night, you guys.
We're never going home. We're locked here. No, maybe not, though.
We
because-
do have draw rules.
Well, we do have draw rules, but on top of that, the lightning cycle, I think Swood's caught on. There's 2 minutes, 15 seconds left to double elixir time. He only needs, I think, 4 lightnings to close it out, and any other damage from giants, bowlers, mega minions, etc. can reduce that number pretty dramatically.
I could take the opportunity if it happens. Actually, if the draw happens, then we'll take the opportunity on here and go through our draw rule set. But we'll see. I mean, this could still very much be a winning game. Giant bowler is nothing to laugh at. It can do a lot of damage.
Ooh, the double giant forcing his opponent to react on both sides.
Ooh, that's an uncomfortable Inferno Tower spot, actually. Oh, and the Ice Dome, not quite dead, but the log will finish it. Giant is slowed up. Mega Minions try to do what they can. I think this Giant's going to get one.
Throws a punch. No, it does. It gets a punch.
That's one.
Oh, no.
And this is putting it into lightning range, and this is what we're talking about. The faster you start cycling your lightning, the more realistic it all of a sudden becomes to win the match.
And it looks like, I'm not exactly sure with all these giants in play how exactly Flash is going to be able to deal 1,400 damage in the next minute while not getting lightning out. He's 1 lightning away from death. I think Swood has this, which game 3, but really game 2. They're tying up 1-1. I'm really counting my games now. And, throws it. Flash knows it's over.
Flash just tried to recreate the commercial there.
That's right. That's
Fireball
right.
on the Red King Tower.
There it is. Congratulations, Swood tying it up 1-1 against Flash. They go into a draw once. It seems like Swood learned from his mistakes and is like, all right, fine. Like you said, cycle those lightnings faster and he gets the damage on it. So we're now going to be going into our 4th game, but like you said, really the 3rd game that really matters in these two, having to play both of their alternate decks to see who will move on to the finals.
All right. I'm glad we avoided the draw.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick, just in case so people know that we do have draw rules here.
So here are draw rules. You get only 1 draw in a match. So if you draw once, it will be replayed. If there is another draw, if we go to the end of the game and there's another draw, then we go to what we call sudden death rules. And what that means is the player with the lowest health tower is the player who loses. Or yeah, that's actually it. If they go to a draw. If the tower is at the lower health, then
the first draw, just to be clear, so like you win, I win, then we draw. We play that game over again. In the 4th game, where we draw a second time, whoever has the lower single tower health loses.
Yes.
So if you have 2 towers at 1,000 and 1,000, and I have a tower at full health and 200, I lose that game.
Right.
Rainy wins.
That's right. So which actually, I mean, it even adds another strategy. You know, when we see the draws, we can talk about it again. But if you know that this is your draw match and you feel like the game is going to a draw again, you might want to start just getting that just random chip damage when you can. With your opponent's
well, they're in that situation now, right? Going into game 4, we've had the 1 draw. They're now tied up 1-1. This game, if it goes to a draw, would be determined by those sudden death rules, correct? Mm-hmm. Wow. Yep. It is an Expo mirror match as well. Ooh. So we're going to see a lot of spells and a lot of struggle to get your Expo set up. This could go either way. Yeah.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Let's see which one of these 2 players will move on to the finals.
All right, Ice Spirit, Ice Spirit. He's going to play the first crossbow.
When I look at their crossbow or their Expo decks, gosh, you have such bad habits, Rainy. Knock it. They actually, get this, not only is it an Expo mirror match, it is a literal mirror match. They are playing 8 cards the same. Well, remember, their clanmates who probably prepared for this together, so they determined
this is the best one.
The best thing we can do.
Makes sense.
So they're actually playing, we'll go over it, you're going to see all 8 cards. Log Fireballs, their spells. Expo, Inferno Towers, their buildings. Ice Golem, Guards, Mega Minion, Ice Spirit for troops.
Woo! All right, who can play it better? This is the true question.
It looks like Flash opens up the opportunity for him to leapfrog Expos.
I think that's the smartest thing here because what you're afraid of when you play your Expo is the Inferno Tower, right? So by having another Expo already on the board, Flash has the ability to play his Expo while the Inferno Tower is still setting up. It's getting shot already, and then you have 2 Expos knocking it down.
I think, however, Flash decides not to do that just yet. Maybe after this Mega Minion comes across. It's 1 swing, it's another. That's about all it can do then.
Both of them are very careful. They're leaking elixir because they don't want to make the wrong play. Even though elixir efficiency is very important, this is all going to come down to who just gets 1 clean Expo going crazy on the opponent.
That Mega Minion is actually slowed down. It's going to lose the fight. But the Ice Spirit jumps up and it's out of tower range. That buys enough time for the Expo to push Swood's tower health down to 818, and Flash takes the early lead in this match and doesn't look like he wants to slow down. I think so far decision making has been on Flash's side.
I think this is Flash's probably his best deck. I think he plays Lava Hound. It's his favorite sort of tanky build deck, but he wants this deck in the final game of the match because this is the one he's most comfortable with and he thinks the most powerful in the format.
Hard to argue against it.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think he even has to play another offensive Expo. He can play all of his Expos in the center there. There's no lightning on his opponent's side, so he can just sit there and shoot anything that comes down.
Yeah.
And he knows it.
Yeah. It's so hard to come back in an Expo mirror match if you get this far behind.
35 seconds, especially once you go into overtime, it just comes down to, well, who gets the first shot off. Oh no, the Expos are going to duel. Oh, the Ice Spirit got shot off the board.
Good defense on Flash's side. And the center place Expo is definitely something that I think Marcel P did very well when he was having his run in the first Coronation Day.
Now this is going to be 2 fireballs. There's not enough for a log and a fireball to take it down. So Flash has to play through 2 more cycles of his deck, and we can see already that Swood's playing very aggressive. He knows
he's got to go.
He's got to go.
Yeah.
And the Expo was placed up actually further than it normally is because Swood knows if he plays it 1 square back using the maximum amount of range, he's
he's got to get to it. He's got to get to it.
Oh no! Wait!
What? Takes it just in the nick of time there. Really coming down to the final segment, but it is going to be Flash who moves on to be our first finalist of our Coronation Day number 3. That was incredible.
There were 2 really key plays there that it showed how experienced and how smart of players these 2 are. Swood knew
he's got to
played his Expo. Okay, you can play the Expo 1 tile off of the bridge. If you play it there, though, it's within range of a fireball hitting both. Swood smashes the Expo as far up as he can so that Flash can't fireball it.
Both.
And that gave the Expo a little extra health, a little extra time and damage.
Woo. Sorry, forgive your ears. We're sorry. That was incredible, though.
Flash had a greedy log I didn't really like. Maybe he was just playing it to get rid of stuff in the way, but he actually logged and it just put the tower down to 48 health.
Yeah.
A fireball would have been the same there, so I don't know if that log was necessary, and he almost lost the game for it.
Woo, that was close. Now, we were talking about the thing of if your opponent spends a spell, right, a fireball, he's 4 down. And Swood clearly saw that because he's like, all right, now Flash is to go. He's going to spend a fireball, so now I have this huge advantage. What if I guess, do you think Flash knew that he was still going to be okay, or do you think he cut it close?
You might have hoped.
Okay.
All right, that's as close as we can get. Yeah,
I think. Let's take a look at some
Minor Lava Hound here.
Minor Lava Hound, we've seen this actually a surprising amount of times in the Clash Royale North American Open. Lava Hound is kind of one of the popular kind of side decks that we would see Expo and Giant Bowler taking kind of the main stage. But for very good reasons. I mean, look at how much damage that thing did.
Yeah, it's such a great combo. It's only 10 elixir, which sounds like a lot to go to all the elixir I can have.
Yeah.
But think how effective, and that can shred a tower in a way that a lot of other 10 elixir pushes can't. And it requires very specific counters. That Expo early on, locking on, was really the key in the match. It changed it so that Flash could start playing defensively instead of feeling like he had to struggle and keep playing Expos at the river.
All right, well, let's go ahead and pull up the brackets now. As we're just finishing our first semifinal match, we have 1 more to go before the finals. So like we said, Flash moving on there to be the finalist. Up next is going to be Flawless versus Isopa. So here's the thing. Rumham, your pick is in. Flash has made it to the finals, and now this comes down to you, Rainey, because you said Isopa is your pick. Only be one.
Much like when these players go to the crown duels, there can only be one. There can only be one player that wins. So is it going to be Flash, or is it going to be Isopa?
Isopa. Again, these guys are playing for $2,000. So first place today takes home $2,000, and they have that chance to move on to the arena battles. After 16 Coronation days, 8 go into the arena battles. After those arena battles, going on to the crown duels.
Someone here today could be making $15,000.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Eventually in the future. Yeah. They're playing for a lot of stuff. And again, that trip to Supercell HQ. All right, now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the final battle of Coronation Day number 3. Let's go ahead and pull up the decks between both these players. We've seen them. Let's talk about it one more time. Isopa, Flash. Looks like, all right, again, you guys know what you guys are picking.
What does that
I
noise
want to hear
mean?
you guys kind of argue for your case. So, Rumham, we're going to start with you. Why is Flash the man to watch right now?
You know, I'm not really sure how Ahsoka is going to beat that Lava Hound deck. I mean, he doesn't have arrows in either deck, so the Lava Pups, Minions, Minion Horde are all going to be really strong. All 4 decks involve Inferno Towers, so you got to get around that. But Flash has a very cheap Zap, Fireball, Swarmy cards, all sorts of stuff that can overwhelm it. I can almost guarantee Flash's Lava Hound deck will pick up at least 1 win in this matchup. The question is, can Flash take it home with Expo?
Yeah,
Not for Ahsoka.
I agree. I think that the really big danger for Flash right now is if he wins with his Lava Hound deck, he has to play Expo twice. And I think that Ahsoka is a good enough player, as we've seen. He's played Expo already in this Coronation Day. I think that Ahsoka's 2 decks, especially his Goblin Barrel deck, has been proved to be quite effective against Expo. He has a lot of ways to control it. Execution pending, right? I mean, that was a very close game.
Absolutely. I think what's really important, though, is that we have 2 players who are big members of the community. They're playing a lot of tournaments. Sometimes they stream, write deck strategy guides and all that. They're 2 very deserving players who have fought their way through thousands of competitors
So
to
many
get
people.
here. And even though I'm picking Flash for the sake of picking, both of these players are super deserving to go to the arena battles. And I think I would be happy as a member of the community to hold up either as my
one.
crown duel champion at the end.
That's good to know. I like that. You're making that way just in case Flash loses, you're good.
The matchup I think will be the most interesting to watch in my mind is how will the Lava Hound deck match up with the Hog Rider deck? Because this is a deck where you would think, okay, he plays Lava Hound, that opens up a big opportunity for the Hog Rider to come in and do a lot of damage, but at the same token, how does a Hog Rider deck stop a Lava Hound, right? You don't have the big options that really give you what you need, the firepower you need to stop. Oh my God.
He just used Zap, though. Oh, the Skeleton Army.
That's a perfect choice against Goblin Barrel. It's actually an even trade, and you are putting more than enough units to protect your tower from any kind of stabbing.
We mentioned earlier how great Skeleton Army is against Miner because you just surround the tower, and no matter where the Miner pops up, there's probably a skeleton nearby. Yes. That is doubly true with Goblin Barrel because there's all 3 points of the Goblins. The Skeletons can distract all 3 of them.
I think currently Ahsoka needs to put a lot of focus on Princess placement if he wants to overcome the defensive capabilities of Flash. Because in that situation, the big answer is have a Princess at the bridge shooting the tower because then it doesn't matter where you drop the Skeleton Army, it's just going to get wiped out.
Oh no, and Lava Hound goes down very early, but the Miner does pop up the tank for some of it. The question, Ooh, the Zap. You can see them trading spells. They're being very particular with their spell use because they know, especially Ahsoka knows, he's got to be very, very judicious with that Zap. He needs Zap to get those minions or skeleton armies off the board.
Ooh, Ops suspend Zap. Now here's the thing that I was talking about. When you play the Miner, you actually have a tank for a Goblin Barrel, so you can start playing some mind game spots with your Goblin Barrel, and I think that would have helped Ahsoka a lot because that Zap came down on top of Flash's tower.
He should have been watching your art corner.
He should have been.
I think Ahsoka is really going to have to lean on Princess here in order to win this match. There are so many great Princess targets that he's going to have to pull off what he did in those earlier games where he just played a very defensive Princess and forced the opponent to sort of react in some way. Like, oh, I have to log this Princess in the middle, and that gives you great opportunities to play stuff like Goblin Barrel, Skeleton Army right after.
Very interesting choice, and I think it's paying off for Ahsoka in a big way. Play the Princess instead of something like a Hog Rider. I mean, kind of using it in a similar vein, right? Punishing the Lava Hound drop. And he actually gets a ton of damage, and now he turns his Inferno Tower around to deal with this Lava Hound.
I think that went way better for Flash, though.
Whoa! Mind game it!
Especially when you consider that the Lava Hound just totally rode right on by the Inferno Tower. The Inferno Tower did turn around and attack it, but Ahsoka lost half of the remaining health on his tower.
Ooh, Fireball gets spent, and I don't know, he has to spend the Minion Horde, and that is a less than ideal card to spend, and they also get zapped. Miner gets a good amount of damage, and that's a pretty big opening for Ahsoka. Obviously not.
How did he
How in the world did he know?
How often do you see pre-fire Miners?
That was amazing.
That, I mean, I have to only imagine that these players are pulling out all their stops because that was looking into the future.
Wow.
Zaps out of his hand. So that Inferno Tower is just going to work there, and there's a little bit of time left. Oh, the Skeleton Army again. I think that Ahsoka kind of needs to roll his log down there before the Skeleton Army shows up.
Right.
There it is, Miner. One more hit. All right, Flash is going to take that one, going 1-0 against Sopa. One game. No, this is now final, so we are best of 5. So they have to win with 3. They have to win 3 games, 2 times with one deck, 1 time with the other. They get to choose.
Unless you're really crafty and you pull out a third totally different deck.
How did you get that here?
Yeah,
no,
you cheated.
So I probably wouldn't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. But you're right. Both of them have the option to win twice. So now Flash has the option of playing his Lava Hound deck again, or he can switch and try to win 2 games with his Expo deck. Sopa, though, does he want to stay with Goblin Barrel and take his chances against the Expo deck with Goblin Barrel?
Okay.
I think that the line of play got very complicated, right? As we watched the game, Rumham and I were talking about things like, okay, he needs to play the Goblin Barrel with the log, or sometimes he would need to play the Miner, but then when he plays the Goblin Barrel, he needs to make sure it doesn't get zapped. And then that other time, he played the Goblin Barrel, and then the Minion Horde was played on top of it, and that's going to take down the Miner and the Goblin Barrel. And so it starts getting really complicated. And I think if there's anybody who can make it happen, it's Isopa, but that takes a lot of focus. That takes a lot of discipline. Is Isopa up to that? That's going to be what makes a champion, right?
Do you think his other deck would have been a better match for that?
It's crazy because we saw Isopa play against a deck that seemed like it had all the answers, and yet he beat it.
Yeah.
That deck seemed like it really had the answers. So the Skeleton Army was the MVP there for Flash because it stopped Goblin Barrel, Miner, all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
All right, well, Flash again up 1-0. If he takes this next one, he has to win again. They have to win 3 times here in the finals, but if they do, $2,000.
Ooh, guards dropped in preparation for that Goblin Barrel coming down. And I mean,
it's worth mentioning, you could not have placed them on a more accurate square. Those guards actually hit 2 of the goblins instead of just 1 like they could have in a lot of other placements.
And this is why I'm saying if you're not going to mind game it, just let the goblins surround, because then you minimize the chances of that happening. Skeleton Army plus the Inferno Tower. That's going to be pretty solid. The log is going to clear out the Skeleton Army. The Inferno Tower has done its job.
Flash can't believe it.
Yeah, these players are playing really well. Their responses are lightning quick. Yes. If you have ever been in this situation, you know how fast you need to be to make sure you pull off defenses like this so cleanly.
Yeah, the Clash Royale North American Open really tests your deck building skills with the double deck format, but also your strategic planning of how to navigate the matchups between your decks, and of course your reaction speed. Rainey and I both love building decks and are very strategic. I don't think either of us have the reaction times to play at this level.
Definitely not, and I think this is a big opening for the crossbow.
That's it.
And it's locked onto the tower. Flash got connected on by a big Goblin Barrel. Actually, the zap is going to extend the lifeline just a little bit, and Isopa is still ahead.
He used the zap there along to freeze the Ice Spirit for a second so that the Mega Minion could actually clean it out instead of getting frozen. He needed the Mega Minion to hit that Expo because the longer, 2 seconds of freeze, that Expo is just going, right?
Yep. Yes, and we saw that too. In the replay.
Less than 250 damage separate these players, though, so it's certainly anyone's game.
He's trying to mind game on the corner, but there's no response, actually. And that's going to be that's indication that Flash is going for offense entirely, right? When he opts to spend nothing on defense, that's him trying to gain an elixir advantage.
Princess just in time.
I don't think that Princess, I think he would almost have rather had the Princess not lock onto the tower, or like have the Expo lock on the Princess shoot it out. Because the Princess has so few hit points, it's not really tanking anything. Yeah.
There's and Zap is definitely not in cycle for Isopa. This might be a big loss for Isopa.
Isopa, so used to playing tempo decks, is really falling behind in the tempo of this game. He's just finding himself on the back foot. He's having to react to Flash's big moves as opposed to keeping Flash on the back foot with Princess and Goblin Barrel and all these other cards that are normally forcing reactions out of your opponent. 15 seconds though, could work. Oh, Fireball.
Nope. Fireball says no.
I think Isopa's going to get locked out of this match again. And really, I think it comes down to the fact that the Expo defense is something that Isopa has just to be a little more careful of. I think he has to respect it a little bit more.
Yeah.
There we go. Flash now going up 2-0 against Isopa. He is one more game away.
We've seen people come back in the past couple of days after being down to how
what happened in Coronation Day 1 there?
That's exactly
finals.
Exactly what happened.
All 5.
Yeah, he came back 1-3 in a row.
Ender was down 2-0 and went win to lock it up.
How can Isopa do that?
Isopa, I think he might have to switch decks here. He's seen both decks now, and both decks this Goblin Barrel thing hasn't gone very well
No.
for him. I think he might be better off switching decks, trying his luck, winning those two, and even if you have a bad matchup going into a critical game 5, at least you're in the critical game 5.
Right.
What I think is great about that too is now Ahsoka gets to switch it up. He knows the 2 decks, and now he also is going to know which deck that Flash has to continue to play.
Well, actually, no, because Flash can win with either deck. That's,
He's right. He's only with one.
Flash
or one
is,
each.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
Flash
that's
has actually
right.
kind of maintained the mind games. He won one game
man.
with each.
Flash
so
is
Ahsoka
in
don't know who he's going
position.
against.
All right.
Mind game corner over there.
Mind game corner.
Yeah.
I think that's really smart. I mean, in the best of 5 finals, when you have 2 decks, you can choose which one you want to win twice with. Flash opted to play both his decks, and so now they both have 1 win stacked on. So it just becomes a question of like, which one
do I
will
want to do?
pick?
First
Yeah.
time that's happened, actually, in the Coronation days, is both times in both 2 previous finals, player won with their preferred deck twice and then was forced to switch in order to win it.
All right now it is all on the line for Ahsoka.
Let's
He's
see if
got
Flash
to
can
win
do it.
every single game now. Flash just one away.
He's playing his Expo. You can tell right away from the Ice Golem that is the Expo deck.
Log kills the princess, but now there's no log in the skeleton army. Uh-oh. And let's see how far the skeleton army can go.
Well, for the most part, they at least forced an exchange
Yes.
out. The miner did a tiny bit of damage. The real danger is actually that Mega Minion that is still full health and coming back.
Yeah, I mean, these air interactions. Oh no, the Inferno Tower is not quite in range, and that could be a big mistake, actually. That could end the game for Ahsoka. I mean, what more does he have? That crossbow is still at 60% health.
Get to his zap again. Get to his zap.
He's only got 3 elixir, and he's behind. Not only is he behind in damage, he was behind by 2 elixir. So even if Flash, had an answer he wanted to use, he could just get rid of that princess. Opted to just let the damage go through because, hey, it was almost 2,000. Why not?
Yeah. That hurts a lot for Ahsoka, and I think it might just be a little bit too much for him. Flash playing solidly in the finals could just earn the win here. Miner is going to tank for the goblins, and actually no, the positioning was wrong. And that's another reason why you want to make sure you push your Goblin Barrel outside of that kill zone, that area around the tower.
Those center expos are insane. Not only do they stop incoming pushes across the river, but the range is so wide, they can cover really the back lines of anything. Miners don't really have a place to go with a center-placed expo like that. And of course, if Flash can cycle back to his expo, he can play a second one at the river with it being protected by the first one.
Mega Minion will come up and clean that expo up. Princess gets logged down. And I think it's just such a rough spot to have such a health deficit at this point in the game. Flash has been doing really well, kind of investing in the future. That Mega Minion that he dropped a long time ago is now contributing to this Expo push. Here comes the big Goblin Barrel. What's the answer? Logs.
Wow.
Perfect placement, and right now Flash's execution is top-notch.
Absolutely. I mean, this is we mentioned earlier in the pre-match thing when I picked Flash to win.
That's right.
That great players say Flash is a great player, and I think we're seeing that right here. His execution, even his sequencing, his strategic planning is so good. We've seen predictive arrows, predictive fireballs land really well, and I think that's just Flash feeling so comfortable with the matchup, knowing it inside and out, and I think within 20 seconds, he might be able to close out this game. He's going to need a log and another fireball.
That's actually really interesting. The more Flash actually throws these fireballs to try to close the game, actually it could get really scary. Yeah, it could get really scary for him. Here comes, do you have log? I'm not sure. He's going for the win.
He's going for the win, but it was closer than it
That
looked.
was so close.
Oh my
but
gosh.
Flash is picking it up 3-0 against Ahsoka here in the finals, taking home $2,000
Woo!
and that chance to move on to the arena battles. Congratulations.
Congrats. That was awesome. Talk a little bit about...
Winner!
Oh yeah, you're also the winner.
It's all right. Your man
okay,
got to the
baby.
finals. My man was out in the round of 16, even before the round of 8, so you're good.
It's okay. He'll be back, right?
Let's take a look at the replay here from the miner. Now, I hope this is the pre-thought out, the pre-fired miner here.
That was great.
Against it is. No, oh no.
No, it's
Okay.
not. Miner Minion is a very basic push that was developed soon after the Miner got released, and for big reasons, right? The minions are tough to deal with, and with a Miner tanking for the minions, stopping the tower from taking them down, it all of a sudden becomes a dangerous push.
Ooh.
these Expos are so tough to deal with. Like I said, in this game, you really wanted to see Ahsoka constantly keep the pressure on. Never actually get to 10 elixir, but every time you hit around 6, throw one of those Goblin Barrels, put a Princess down, keep your opponent on their toes. Once a Flash was able to get an Expo down, it switched the tide of the game. Now Ahsoka had to react to Flash, and that's where those tempo decks are not nearly as strong.
All right.
Talk a little bit. Oh, go ahead.
I think it's just really tough for Ahsoka because Flash's execution and strategy was on point. I think there were moments where, oh God, look at how much damage this Expo is doing. I think there were points in time towards the end of this game, actually, that Ahsoka started playing really well, kind of playing one step ahead of Flash and keeping ahead of his spell usage. And that's really kind of the point of Ahsoka's deck in many ways, right? You need to be able to get ahead of their spell usage. As we saw very well in the semifinals, it was just tough to do that against Flash because he was so on it. He knew the options that he had to save, and he only released that option when he knew that he had the win. Perfect execution, and Flash takes the victory over Ahsoka.
Yeah.
There we go. Congratulations again to Flash for being our third Coronation Day champion. Let's go ahead, Rumham Rainey, pulling up the brackets here for the day. Just walk us through just kind of the story of the day, the clan battles, the Cold Wars, all of it.
Well, Flash walked to the finals, stepping over 2 clanmates on the way. Chief J, another member of TakeOver, defeats him, defeats Swoot, another member, in the semifinals. He was the only remaining hope for TakeOver to win this, and they do. The clan score now goes TakeOver 2, Reddit Alpha 1, or Reddit Charlie, I guess really the Reddit clan
Reddit
1.
Right.
Yeah.
Ahsoka, really consistent player. I kind of expect him to come back. Rainey, what do you think he could have done different there?
I think that Ahsoka brought... Now, it's so hard to tell because I really actually like his Goblin Barrel deck. I think that it is... You always have to ask the question it's executionally tough, right? What is the benefit that you gain from that? Obviously, for number one, not a lot of people see Goblin Barrel, so they're not going to know how to play against it.
That's slight advantage.
But the thing is, you get to the finals and you get to the situation where he did with Flash, where now you have to play against a player who cannot just be taken by surprise, right? Mm-hmm. Flash is solid. Flash has good execution. He knows how to handle these situations. He's prepared. But I still think that there's a chance that that deck can really do well. The question is it too tough to do consistently, to execute consistently for it to be worth it? Is it worth the risk?
All right.
Okay. Well, not only is Flash taking home $2,000 in his trip to go to the Crown Duels, but his name will be remembered throughout Clash history.
Forever. Literally.
Flash,
it's the internet.
Clash.
Nothing leaves.
It's perfect.
And again, if you guys, if the 16 players, 16 winners will go from here to the arena battles, where then it'll be whittled down just to 8 players to go into the Crown Duels, where first place is taking home $15,000 out of a total.
Super awesome trip.
That's right, of a $100,000 prize pool. So again, congratulations for now Flash being our 3rd winner. If you guys want to, participate and be a part of this, because again, we still have 13 more. Man, that was easy math and I failed it.
Yeah.
They're the looks.
So
You
true.
know, Rainey's
You're
the brains.
seeing the weakness.
Clash Royale Open.
We balanced it out. We have 13 more of these. Go over to ClashRoyaleOpen.com where you can sign up to be a part of these as well. Open qualifiers, again, over 500,000 people are coming in to join these events. Speaking of our next broadcast, it is happening tomorrow, Thursday the 27th, same time, 6 o'clock p.m. Do not miss it. And if you're part of it, best of luck to you guys. Yeah. Well, on behalf of everyone here at the Super Magical... No, oh my gosh, I almost plugged your thing. That's all done. On behalf of...
It's Super Cell.
Again, the
Super
brand.
I think that's what you
Super
were
Cell Clash Royale North American Opens broadcasted here at the NG Studios in Burbank, California. That is Rumham and Rainey.
I'm Ella.
I'm Christian.
Have a most ridiculous night.
You know, the secret is
Yeah.
I'm not actually the